Ellen McCauley prayed up in Syracuse, New York. But you're sitting out there going, Ellen, I'm really not addicted to carbohydrates. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'd rather have an apple. I'd rather have Brussels sprouts. I don't know what you mean. So we're going to see if you really are. Because a compelling hunger or craving for snack foods, junk foods, or sweets is a kind of an idea that you might be. And if you don't really know those carbohydrate-rich foods, it's breads, bagels, cakes, cereal, chocolate, cookies, crackers, Danish, fruit, and fruit juices. Now, when I say fruit, those are the good ones. Ice cream, potato chips, pasta, not the whole wheat. Potatoes, you can have some potatoes and not think it's bad for you. Pretzels. I notice a lot of people in the group have pretzels for a snack, and they also have cheese and crackers for a snack. Popcorn is actually a good complex carbohydrate to have for a snack. Pretzels, no. Pretzels are processed. If you look at the label, there's no natural, if there is, you know, that's one thing, but most pretzels are processed. Also, as many as 75% of those who are overweight are carbohydrate addicted. And you have that whole hormone, insulin, and I'm just going to read this part. You have too much insulin released after this eating of the carbohydrates. You throw off your whole ghrelin, which is that thing that says stop eating. And pretty soon, since the blood sugar cannot easily enter the muscles, nervous system, or organs, much of the food energy gets channeled into the fat cells, and weight gain comes easy. Now, here's the thing. If you've already had a weight problem, and you've lost weight, those fat cells are still there. So that's why it's so easy to gain weight, because when you overdo it on the carbohydrates, they already have a place to go. The fat cells are already there. The body doesn't have to make fat cells, they're there. And then the blood glucose gets trapped in the bloodstream, bringing on the condition known as adult onset diabetes. And many people with adult onset diabetes can really regulate it with diet and exercise. So here's a quiz, and I want you to be honest. You don't have to raise your hand, just answer to yourself. After a full breakfast, do you get hungry before it's time for lunch? And when I say a full breakfast, I'm talking, all right, are you having a bagel with cream cheese and then you're hungry before lunch? Or are you having eggs and fruit and maybe steel cut oats? That's when you need to notice, what am I having for breakfast that I'm hungry by lunch? Do you have a difficult time stopping once you start eating starches, snack foods, junk foods, or sweets? I've never anyone said, oh my gosh, I just had 3 apples in a row. I could not stop eating those apples. But I have heard people say, I just ate a whole row or a whole box of the Girl Scout cookies. Or how many times have you been dipping into that potato chip bag and you look and it's empty and you have no memory of how did that happen? Do you sometimes feel unsatisfied even though you have just finished a meal? Do you have that feeling like, I need something. It's not this. It's something good. What do we got? And the thing is, if you don't have anything in the house, the odds are you're not going to eat something bad if there's nothing bad in the house. Also, do you sometimes eat even though you're not really hungry? I have tried for years to work on my clean plate mentality, and I still have a really bad time of it. So the only way I can fight it is to have less on my plate to begin with. Because if I have the amount there, psychologically, I feel like I have to eat it. Yes, I know there's Tupperware. Yes, I know I can put it back in the fridge. But psychologically, I still have an issue with that. Are you sometimes unable to keep from snacking at night? The only way I was able to do that is through God. People ask me, Ellen, how can you not snack? I don't snack because when I snack, I gain weight, and my body doesn't need that. And I tell myself, I will not eat after dinner. And I won't. And I don't. I don't. So that's how you do it. You just stop. S-T-O-P. Say, I will not do it. After a large meal, do you feel very sluggish, almost drugged? Now, many of Thanksgiving, I think we felt like that, but I really haven't felt like that in a long time. Do you get unexplainably tired and or hungry in the afternoon? That's again, after a big lunch perhaps, or alcohol at lunch. Have you at times continued eating even though you felt uncomfortably full? I've done that. I've done it, yeah. Have you ever been on diet after diet? Have you been on diet after diet only to lose weight and regain it again? Yes, yes, and yes. So, if you got 0 to 2, you have no carbohydrate issues whatsoever. Or you are a very big liar. Also, if you get 3 to 4, you appear to have a mild carbohydrate addiction, which at times you may be able to control, but with some difficulty. Or 5 and 7, you're moderately addicted to carbohydrates, and then 8 to 10, you have a real big issue. When I started Pray It Off in January of 2008, I was 8 to 10. 8 to 10. Hands down. Hands down. Every meal had to have some sort of stuffing or some sort of cheese sauce or something. I was addicted to carbohydrates. They were my comfort. They were my go-to source, and I thought they would give me the things that God wanted to give me. After 15 years, I'm pretty much in 3 to 4, but sometimes I go to 5 and 7 when I have a pity party, right? Anyone else ever have a pity party? Poor me, I work so hard, I tried real hard, my mother died, I need something. And then, here's when you know. I said to Bob, you know, I have to always watch what I drink because I'm an alcoholic. He says, you're not an alcoholic. I said, but I could be. I could be. If you have an addicted personality, I could easily pop back up to 8 to 10.
Absolutely.
In a heartbeat. But we need to constantly be vigilant. That's why coming here is so critical. Now, one of the things, though, is there a physical cause for our carbohydrate addiction, or is it mental, psychological, and emotional? It's actually both, because we've trained our bodies to crave these things. I grew up in macaroni and cheese. That was our go-to meal. We had tons of pasta. We had white bread. We had all those things. We would slap the 3 slices of cheese and have toasted cheese sandwiches. I mean, so much carbs. I've taught my body. You know why I don't have adult onset diabetes? The grace of God, genetics. It doesn't run in our family. It wasn't because I wasn't fat. If someone has it or doesn't have it, so frequently it has to do with your genetics. Now, many times also, you can avoid it. I think I was on a roller coaster ride to some really bad things when I weighed 371. So that's why it's important, and one of the things what I like to do here at Pray It Off is talk about the whys. Why do I want to do these things? Why? What has made me? Is it the stress, the anxiety, depression? And then as far as our body goes, if you are staying the same and you are working hard, your body is a caveman, and your body is saying, wait a minute, I am not going to have you lose weight because I don't really know what you're doing to me. You're trying to deprive me. You're trying to work hard. I'm going to hang on to it for a while. Don't give up. Don't give up, because that you can win over your body. I like what it says here. Insulin acts like a doorman, opening the doors to cells all over your body so that energy in the form of blood sugar can fuel you for your activities. When that job is completed, the non-addicted person, the insulin signals the liver to put some of the remaining blood sugar into short-term storage for quick energy. Any extra blood sugar that still remains is turned into fat and put into long-term storage in the fat cells. So if you eat too much of it is stored in the long-term storage in the fat cells. And the non-addicted person, if they eat a carbohydrate-rich meal or snack, serotonin is released with a stop eating signal. Many of us have really lost sight of our stop eating signal. It's like, am I supposed to stop eating because it tastes so good? It really is so good. We've lost that signal that says, okay, you're done now. My little nephews kill me because you're like, hey, you want a cookie? No, no thank you. I don't think I ever said no thank you to a cookie in my life. And therein lies the problem. Or they'll say, I'm full. Really? You're full? I don't think I've ever said I was full either. So this is where you learn it. And you know what we say to them? Great. You know, we don't force food on anyone. Our fat cells are there. We can't get rid of them. I'm not a big proponent of liposuction, but what's funny though is I have a friend and she was an open heart surgery nurse. She saw it all. Then she was a trauma nurse, which was the worst accidents, car accidents, truck accidents. Then they asked her to sit in on a liposuction surgery. She passed out. She said it was the worst thing she ever saw in her life. She passed out. And just the whole thing, they're sticking that thing and they're trying to get the fat cells. She goes, it was awful. So my point is, most of us are not going to have liposuction and we're going to hang on to those fat cells. So the only thing we can do is reduce them. Reduce them. Reduce them. Also, we can, I like this, without realizing it, carbohydrate addicts are self-medicating, giving themselves the foods that will help bring their blood sugars back to normal, but only temporarily. Because within a short time, the entire cycle will repeat itself, leaving them craving and needing carbohydrates again. And that's why I love Lent so much, because we can say things to ourselves that we don't believe when we say it to ourselves in other times of the year. We can say, I'm going to only have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's your Lenten intention, so you really want to do it. Or you can say, I am not going to have bread at every meal for Lent. When you write it down as a hardcore Catholic like we are, we feel we have to do it. So that's why it's a good time to be on a weight loss plan, because we can, and even if you haven't done it yet, let's say it's Thursday and you're like, what was yesterday? Ash Wednesday? What? If you didn't know it, you can start your Lenten intentions today. I'm going to stop right there, Bobby.